What's going on, guys? It's RPG Zeke here, coming at you with another video, this time a blog. I went to Bandai Cardfest, and I know the first question you're probably thinking of, did you play any card games? No. It was at this time Robbie, aka Boopy, Spoon, and myself had to assemble a carpool up to Vegas. Reason for leaving Thursday was Spoon was accepted into the LCQ, also known as Last Chance Qualifier for Gundam, meaning he'd be playing games non-stop Friday. So we figured getting from here to there would be in the best interest of everyone. Well, what should have been shy of a 7-hour drive turned into 9-ish hours. With the road bustling with accidents, detours, construction, and folks not knowing how to drive, we were exhausted by the time we arrived at the hotel closer to 9:30 p.m. So what's a group of Gundam pilots to do when just arriving? Well, order in, take out sushi, and play games, and that's what we did. By this time, Spoon had already played several rounds in the LCQ. Meanwhile, Boopy and I lined up to get our badges and entry swag since it's all we could do Friday, not being part of the LCQ and all. This is when Boopy and I had the great idea to go to some local game stores in Vegas to get the lay of the land, until Spoon could eventually meet back up with us later once the LCQ matches were done for the day. One store in particular that we visited was great. It had a lot of tables, good space, and the gentleman working there was really knowledgeable. It was called the People's Card Store. We ended up buying a few things while there, definitely recommend going if you haven't. Sad part was, we couldn't get into their NuType challenge for the day, and we kind of figured as much, but we still wanted to try. After not being able to find really anywhere local to play that afternoon, we ended up calling it quits till later that evening when we could all go out and play at a store called Hobby One Japan. The place was recommended to us via Discord as a place we should hit up, and I'm glad we did. Players that went were either local or just in for Bandai Cardfest. But overall, the vibes were choice for the little shop. Gunpla and paints lined the walls. I even was able to play someone brand new to the Gundam trading card game, and after playing that individual, my group ended up gifting him a starter deck, Iron Bloom. I told him he has to keep improving because when we come back to Vegas in the future, we'll be having our rematch. If you're local to the area and never been, I highly recommend checking out this place as well. After that, I was back to the hotel to get some rest and head to Bandai Cardfest in the morning. Bandai Cardfest was finally upon us. Despite the long line getting in, it went fast once the doors were opened. Security checkpoint was a breeze, and since we got our badges Friday, it was one less thing stopping us from getting into the fun stuff. So what did we do once we got in? We waited in another line for Gundam Assemble. This was one of the activities I was really looking forward to while at Bandai Cardfest. They had two types of demos available, either instructor-led playing or painting. I obviously wanted to play since this was the first time Gundam Assemble was available for the public to demo. So after making my way to the front of the line, I picked my appointment time and would then later return at that time to see what Gundam Assemble was all about. Now, it was about at this time we had to head towards another area to get our merch from our P Bandai order. How this worked was, at a previous time, P Bandai opened orders for merch that could only be bought off the website and then picked up locally at the event. This was one of the biggest deciding factors on what made me go to Bandai Cardfest Vegas, because I was one of the few that successfully placed a P Bandai order for pickup. This line also moved relatively quickly, and the staff was on top of getting your product together and in your possession after you showed them your receipt, so that was nice. It was good timing too, because right after this, it was my Gundam Assemble demo time. For someone brand new to the tactical tabletop scene, Gundam Assemble was a bit overwhelming. Unfortunately, as rules and listings were read over the PA system, along with the PowerPoint presented on the TV shown here, I became more and more overwhelmed and eventually lost. Even the individual I was paired with at the table was unsure of anything. We looked at each other bewildered several times. Thankfully, the staffed individual nearest to us had realized what was unfolding and reassured us that once the explanation was over, we'd move into free play, where an instructor can walk us through questions and concerns one step at a time. Sadly, the demo explanation was the bulk of that time, so by the time we got to free play, we had one action and our time was over. Hello, it's me again. You're probably asking yourself, has this video taken you several weeks to edit and put together because your shirt is different? And to you, I'd say, mind your business. But back to Gundam Assemble, getting out of my seat, I had realized I knew the gentleman to my right. I should further add some context. All throughout the event, I kept seeing a bunch of content creators, not just for the Gundam TCG, anything and everything from Gunpla model kit reviewers to other TCG content creators. Once out of my seat, I had this idea to steal my resolve and change up my Saturday. Instead of immediately getting into another line that would take time out of my day just waiting around, I decided I'd start saying hello to other content creators I saw walking around the venue. And so I did. I will note anyone I mention from this point forward will have a link in the video description down below. First up, that gentleman to my right was NuType.Tim. I'll go ahead and start showing pictures as I meet people in order. Tim is a Gunpla model builder, 24/7 funny guy, and a gentleman. Next up, I met Avault, one of the bigger Digimon content creators. From here, I ran into Vampybitme, cosplayer, Gunpla kit builder, usually building live on stream, brought out by Bandai to do coverage for Gundam Assemble. UniverseX, TCG content creator, having a wide array of Bandai-related TCG content, and soon-to-be father, brought up by Bandai as one of the hosts for the Gundam TCG. ZakuAurelius, owner of the USA Gundam store, kit model reviewer, and Talking Cards with Garrett, Gundam TCG content creator, pro player. Cutting ahead a bit here, Garrett I met up with on Sunday, but before we get to my opinions on the event and where I want to see improvements from Bandai in the future, I want to take a moment for these two. On the left is Aspira, longtime TCG content creator, brought up by Bandai for the Gundam trading card game. On the right, Cosmic Plays, TCG content creator brought out by Bandai for Union Arena. These two mean the world to me. No, really, listen. When I was getting started in YouTube, I was doing it because I figured this would be a fun skill set to build out, and I also wanted to improve my communication skills. Communicating is difficult, who would have thought? I started doing unboxings for a little-known TCG called Battle Spirit Saga. I did like 1 or 2 videos, I thought I was in over my head, and started to doubt myself. Like, really doubt myself. Views were never really high for Battle Spirit Saga, so it wasn't like it was a numbers thing. I just wasn't sure if anyone genuinely was enjoying what I was putting out. Then out of nowhere, unprompted, these two told me I was doing a great job, and the use of my 2 cameras during my unboxing was really unique and different. It might seem silly, but that little compliment, that feedback, gave me the push I needed years ago to just stay on course and keep improving. The channel now has grown a bunch. Currently at this recording, we're over 650 subscribers. My editing skills have improved year over year, and I constantly keep wanting to improve and do new things outside of my comfort zone. Mainly for self-fulfillment, sure, but also because these guys just gave me the push I needed when I was down on myself. So again, this is when I finally got to meet the two of them, a meetup years in the making, my champions in the TCG space and YouTube. Thank you again, Aspira and Cosmic, for just being nice when you had nothing to gain. It speaks volumes to your character, and I'm glad to know you both. Now that you're done crying, viewer, originally in the first edit of this blog, everyone I met had a blurb about them. However, I cut that out and simplified it for the sake of the runtime and because those are my memories with those individuals. I know it seems weird, I'm putting up my first blog out there into the ethos, and I'm struggling with this concept of how much do I record versus how much I want to share with you all. Just know that yes, everyone except me in the TCG space is really tall. I don't know what you all get to eat, but dear Lord. Also, there might be things I don't want to feel like I have to share as I grow more comfortable with blog-related content. So for those I met and made memories with, thank you very much. And now let's move on to Sunday. Sunday actually starts off with a banger. After Bandai Fest concluded Saturday night, we headed out to meet up with some friends to eat dinner at a Korean barbecue place. Food was so good, I had some thrown at me. But that's a story for another time. Afterwards, since really only Spoon had been playing Gundam, Boopy and I wanted to get some games in before our NuType challenges Sunday. We had all signed up for a NuType challenge in the morning. Well, after going back to the hotel, what better place to jam games with newly acquainted friends than in the lobby? We played until very late, I can't recall when we called it quits, but quickly after shutting my eyes, it was the last day of Bandai Cardfest. This is where things start feeling a little off for me, I'll elaborate. During my NuType challenge, my group checked to see if anyone had been accepted into retail. How this works is you would use the Bandai Plus app to enter into a lottery system to potentially be selected to buy stuff from retail while at the event. This ran completely separate from the P Bandai order I explained earlier. Only I was accepted, but the group wanted to buy stuff. We decided whoever lost their round 1 in the NuType challenge would drop to go over to retail to then buy stuff for the group. It made the most sense. Well, no surprise, I lost. I drop and I go to retail. My group was going to just hand over whoever dropped from the NuType challenge their phone, since the only thing retail cared about was the app showing you as being accepted. If you could show successful for that time slot, you were in. This is where my feedback for the event is going to start. As you wait in line, you were handed one of these checklists. So when you get to the front of the line, they eventually assemble your order, you pay, and then you leave the area. Well, as you stand in line, stuff starts selling out. They would tell you what's sold out by writing it on a piece of cardboard and holding it high above their head, written with the item code that corresponds on the paper checklist. Cool, except every time a new item went up, I was trying to coordinate what my group may or may not want based on availability. Mind you, some of them were still playing, so responses were lacking or I never got a reply. Once at the front, juggling all the SKUs on the checklist, items crossed off and new items added to potentially feel something, anything. From the constant annoyance of being denied an item, I finally hand my checklist over, they assemble it. But at the front, I'm also being told other items were selling out. At one point, communication was breaking down in what they had or didn't have. I kind of just cut my losses and decided to get whatever they could bring up to me and stopped asking for other things. I eventually exit the retail area and I go to my friends, hand out things that were purchased, realizing some items were missing that I thought were assembled into the bag. Thankfully, I didn't get charged for it because again, you were only charged for items that they could ring you out for. But I was trying to get a Digimon portfolio, kind of like this Gundam one, but for Digimon. It wasn't in my bag. My friend who went in the retail group after me was able to secure his. So once again, that constant back and forth with the retail staff must have caused some confusion with all the item availability constantly shifting. I was able to get quite a few things I didn't even know were going to be present. I got the other ticket item I wanted, which was my solo leveling UA resources and mat. More on those later. By the time retail was done, I was told we had time for one side event. Remember that intro at the beginning of the video?
Did you play any card games? No.
Well, that wasn't a lie. I played one round in the NuType challenge, I dropped from that to prioritize retail. My side event, although fun, and I met somebody from the Gundam TCG Discord, that was it. When it was over, I realized I went to a Bandai trading card game related event and barely played at all unless it was out of the venue. That feeling really sunk in as we concluded our stay by checking out of the hotel and driving home that same night. Overall, I really enjoyed getting out of my comfort zone and bonding with Boopy and Spoon. I learned a lot about them and how they got involved in the Gundam trading card game. Going to places in Vegas to play trading card games was a lot of fun. We drove there with little issues, ate good food, and overall the atmosphere was a plus. I introduced myself to a lot of new people, connected with folks who I knew of but never met, was recognized on a few occasions, and have nothing but good things to say about those that I chatted with and made memories with. But I don't know if I would do this event again, unless I was in the last chance qualifier, or they had some kind of event headliner like Gundam Assemble. I do think there's a lot here that can be improved or changed drastically to have folks engaged more with the product or their favorite IPs. I want to start by giving kudos to the event in some areas before getting into basic improvements or suggestions. Lines were organized. You could see folks holding up signs saying end of line, which was a good visual indicator to how long a line might take if you decided to wait in it. Considering this was the following event after Texas, I think they did take that feedback seriously and made sure the event lines were in good order while having the appropriate amount of staff around to help facilitate and move those lines. Next, food and bathrooms were available in several locations throughout the venue. I believe location-wise, this place was better tailored for the audience it was expecting to receive, so this could just be a proxy of the location, and that the fact that the location just took care of the services that were going to be needed by all of the attendees. Next, a map was available outlining the layout of the venue. Despite it just being one really big hallway for the most part, it was nice to see. They had a really nice section blocked off just for tables for players to eat and relax for a time. This little area I frequented quite a bit Saturday, but not as much Sunday, and we'll circle back as to why. Next, visual appeal. The place had a nice section for taking pictures. You could walk and see products in glass cases. Trophies were displayed. You definitely felt like you were seeing the upper echelon of what the vibe could be when it comes to portraying your product and services in a public setting. So big ups here. Content creators were a great addition. I didn't show everyone I had met or walked by, just those I took pictures with. But for example, Scara was there, mainly known for his recent involvement in the Riftbound TCG. He is a big entertainer in the streaming space, from offline TV, prior pro League of Legends player, but I enjoyed seeing a lot of folks from the content creator space just in the same area. Mind you, if you bring more here, there is a potential security risk where security will have to be improved, or you would tell them to bring their own security. But no one really clustered around them too much. It was usually a few pictures, some nice words were being exchanged, and then folks would move on to other things. But I'd like to see this expanded upon and bringing those that are involved in the space. All the folks I met were a great addition and enriched the environment for those familiar with them, in my opinion. Improvements. Need some foresight on lines when stuff is selling out. It stinks waiting in a line only to be told something is sold out or no longer offered because you waited in a line for an hour. I can't recoup that time, so it's disheartening when stuff is scheduled and I don't know if I can wait in another line, get my thing I waited for, then have enough time to get to another thing I actually scheduled myself for because I was unaware of how long a line would take. Example, I waited in the demo event line, wanting to partake in the UA solo leveling teaching event. While waiting, I was told no more signups would be available for the UA teaching event. Therein lies me wasting about an hour of my time, and then getting into another line would involve me missing my Gundam Assemble time. Therefore, I would do nothing, ? Situations like this need better events that are ran in the downtime. Smaller, quicker, something that allows engagement to happen. More on this later as well. Or another example is how I signed up for a NuType challenge, but unaware of the retail lotto having taken priority over me playing the game I enjoy. This might just be a me thing since this was my first Bandai Cardfest, but after realizing how layering events to participate in versus having to conclude that allow me the time to get the time that I need to make purchases, but also I want to be in other events, it was a headache. Next would be the retail situation. It seems like product is kept low on purpose. I saw things that were marked as sold out, available behind the counter, like physically there, but was told those were available for the next time slots. So it feels weird knowing physically it's there, but I'm being denied the item for sake of not being accepted at the right time was a little baffling. Maybe some transparency on what would be better, or allowing some bleed through into other items' time slots would be best. Potentially advertising, if not purchased here, it'll be available on Bandai at whatever website, and then you would give the person like a code or a link that allows that person to buy directly without the typical Bandai logging in at a weird time and then robots, scalpers, and everything else just happen to buy the thing out. So I think maybe a handout here would be better to get somebody in directly, because I feel like you miss a lot of point of sale opportunities without having a reasonable backup strategy. More on the retail stuff, bring more bags. I said earlier I'd revisit my solo leveling UA product I picked up from retail. Well, when I got to the retail, they were out of big bags, meaning my mat and resource cards had to be folded up to fit in said bag. I was unaware at the time, but upon getting home, my resource cards were bent, creased. Thankfully, I was able to mend 2 out of the 3 cards, While one shows fierce markings, and I do actively play with these cards, the remedy here would have been a bigger bag so everything could have laid flat as opposed to having them rolled up. It's either this simple request or change how the product is packaged. Potentially in a cardboard tube like the P Bandai product accessories, just an idea. Bring on vendors. I find it weird that I know Artist Alley and vendor spots exist for games like Riftbound, but Bandai is still not willing to work with other vendors to support the IP and lift it up. This might just be an old company approach to an evolving market they refuse to evolve with, but I would have loved snagging some deck boxes or sleeves outside of the Bandai product line if it was more reasonably accessible compared to the retail line. It could be this very same concern that they don't want to bring outside third parties into the space. Not sure, but I would say it's a missed opportunity both ways. This one's just, I think, me just being nitpicky with some of the stuff I saw, but have better expectations for the player lounge. Now, this one I knew going in, Bandai is okay with you trading things that are in person. However, this quickly erodes when attendees of the event go, get their retail, and immediately try upselling each other in the player lounge area. Example, folks got their Gundam portfolio and were PayPaling or paying cash on the spot for other folks' items, marking each other up, and turning around to resell them again. It got so bad from Saturday to Sunday that Bandai instructed staff to walk the lounge area and remove people found buying or selling products to each other. I saw one instance of this where they took someone's badge and escorted them out. So then everyone started saying they were trading instead of paying for things. Didn't help the situation, but it is a bad look for the company housing that environment. I would probably be stricter on the situation from day one, instead of allowing it to persist when you have a very good understanding of how this stuff works between different players or enjoyers of the IPs and products. Be more firm with your choice from the beginning. I'd also probably recommend doing a meet the casters or content creators table or in the lounge area, for example. I think that would be fun. I see no issue with folks interacting with the talent they enjoy the most, getting pictures, having stuff signed. You promote both the folks who champion your products and are probably a better reflection on the current environment. I would try to promote that change and give back to them in that way if the challenge chose to take you up on that offer. And lastly, this is the one I'm going to end on. I've heard it's in the works, but really I want to see this above all the other nitpicky stuff. Have the Bandai Plus app able to matchmake you with other TCG players. I think this would be a home run given all the stuff I've talked about above. It was weird you'd have to wait in line to get into a side event when I know the other folks in line also want to play in a side event. So why is everyone waiting in lines when we could just be playing? You'd have the app match people, get a table number, both players would go meet at the table number, and you'd be good to go. Really, the only problem here is if the table is still in use, but really that would just be resolved once one of the players enters the results for who won or lost. A judge or staff member could then meet them at the table with their prizing, or have folks wrap up that match, or go to a table to claim their prizing if both players confirmed the results. Again, scheduling something only for it to run over the time I had something scheduled, to then have to go do it again in a meaningful time limit was so frustrating, and why I feel like I could do nothing with my time in between things. If they got the matchmaking app running, I think even if you didn't get into last chance qualifiers stuff, you could actually have a great time at Bandai Cardfest regardless of what you signed up for or didn't sign up for. Overall, the event for me was like a 6 out of 10. It was cool, meeting folks was amazing, but nothing really wowed me. I was probably the least engaged with my favorite trading card game until I left the event to go play it somewhere else, and that felt so weird. I would go again if I got into the last chance qualifier, just so I could play the game more and interact with more players. But alright, that's been my first time at a blog. I hope you all enjoyed. If you all think I should do this again or watch till the end, sound off in the comments below. Take a moment to check out all the links in the video description, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!